right, welcome back, everybody. This is Alex, Nature of the Pack. At Nature of the Pack here, we're always learning. We're learning about what the hell is going on with nature, always. And since we have wonderful ChatGPT or Google Gemini, we're just having a nice conversation with it about coyotes and dogs. Like always, I do this all the time for fun, so let's get into it, shall we? I just like explaining to it what I've seen and what I'm dealing with in some of my stories from the past just to see what it says. That's what I'm having a great time with lately. So I figure I should probably film some of this for you guys because it's worth it, in my opinion. I feel like I'm taking in all this good stuff alone and it's only for me, but that's how it's always felt. Nobody cares as much as I do about this stuff, so I'm going to ask it specific questions, and here we go. This is one where I'm letting the ChatGPT know about what is happening in my local area with the coyotes, killing the deer, and the numbers going up over the years, and how they kill them sometimes, like their behavioral strategies, their hunting strategies. So I explained here that one time we saw a deer, probably juvenile, 150 pounds, big, almost fully grown. It was just laying in the grass near the river, completely dead. It was in tall grasses, so my dog pack found the deer just laying there and went over to check it out. So I went over, and it was basically unscathed. Nothing was wrong with this deer at all. It was just choked out, I guess. You could see some scruffles on the neck a little bit, but there was not one wound on this entire deer. Not one. So I had like 5 or 6 dogs. I have the video footage somewhere. Maybe I can dig it out, add it to the video. They just choked it out. So I don't know what any of this means. I'm just watching and observing. Over a decade now, 17 years. So the dogs just peed on it, sniffed, and we all moved on. They're not even used to that. They don't know how to rip a carcass open, or no one was trying to, or any of that stuff. So we moved on. The next day we came back. The thing was completely stripped down to the bone, almost perfectly clean. Man, I think the only thing left was the stomach, just like a round soccer ball of stomach guts, and all the pieces were scattered in about 50-yard area of the side of the river where the tall grasses were, and all my entire dog pack split up and everybody laid down in a specific spot in this like 50-yard patch. I'm just watching. And eventually I go to check out a dog, and it's just like a tiny little piece or a little scrap of a piece of the deer. And not much left. There was really nothing. I couldn't believe how much they took and ate. They kind of cleared it up and removed most of it. I think it was a little bit of fur and scraps in the stomach. But the dogs showed me right away where all the coyotes went to lay down in the local area to have their main feast, because every dog was in a different little spot. It was so funny. So I'm just asking the GPT about what that means. And it's telling me right now, it's like, ooh, it's getting into the wolf behavior, which is my forte. This is exactly how a high-functioning pack operates. What you're describing, a clean kill with no visible wounds followed by a delayed full pack feast, is a textbook wolf-style hunting behavior. That is so cool. We're dealing with more wolf behavior than coyote behavior now. And I kind of had a feeling. It's in my gut. I'm like watching all this stuff very carefully because it's for the safety of my pack. And I need to know who's out there and what's really happening as these changes occur rapidly over like a decade. There were like no coyote kills when I first started. Now there's like multiple ones a year. There's been 3 of them this year. It was like none. Then there was like 1 every other year. Then there was like 1 a year. Now this year there's been 3. It's probably why I'm doing this. Okay, the choke out. I like this because it's cut and dry. Here's why your observation points to a very sophisticated, potentially high wolf DNA group. That's so cool. The choke out. Coyotes often nip at the hindquarters of belly, which leaves a mess. A clean kill with no external wounds usually means a throat crush. Ooh. That requires a massive jaw strength with enough bite force to collapse the windpipe instantly, a signature move of larger canines like wolves. The kill and chill, leaving the carcass for a day, is a smart tactical move. Yeah, because I didn't understand why the coyotes would leave the carcass completely unscathed for a whole day. Like, that means only 2, maybe 3 of them killed. Probably 2 of them killed the deer or something like that. Only a few. And then they left. And then they brought the whole family back or something like that. They brought back somebody, which was more than just them, to finish that off. Because I know that coyotes can only hold like 10 pounds of food in their stomachs, maybe 10 to 20 or something like that. Wolves can hold 20 pounds or more in their stomachs in one meal. Just doing the math in my head, I'm like, this is more than 3 or 4 coyotes. That's for sure. Kill and chill, leaving the carcass for a day is a smart tactic move, as it allows the predators to cool down from the hunt, check for competition like for other packs and humans, and then vocalize or use scent to bring the rest of the pack, including the pups or the alpha female, to the site under the cover of darkness. Smart. A 24-hour vanishing act. Stripping a 150-pound deer in a single night is an incredible feat of consumption. Oh yes, it is. A single wolf can eat up to 20 pounds of meat in one sitting. See, if that carcass is gone in 24 hours, you aren't just dealing with 1 or 2 animals, you have a full, organized family unit of 6 to 10 individuals working on that site. That's what I figured. They're bringing the whole family back. There's no way they're not. I just don't know how they do it, and I want to know how they do it. They have to go back to the pack and be like, they have to communicate to them, like, we killed something, or put the scent on them of, like, deer, like, now follow me. Something like that, right? The pirate rally, because we hear them howling all the time, and they sound just like pirates. That pirate sound you hear is like the social rally. They are calling the pack to the dinner table, getting ready for the hunt. We're never scared. I don't care that they're howling. I think it's awesome, and sometimes I give them a big, loud ape noise back. I'm like, I'll do that really loud. Like right at dusk or whenever after dusk, just to kind of let them know we're over here, you guys are over there, but we're over here, and there's a big ass ape walking around, so beware. We're the apex predators. All right, so that was just really interesting. I just think getting simple little information about what's happening, knowing that it's more wolf behavior than it is coyote behavior, certain things like that, that's pretty important to me. Then it's asking, do the deer, are they on edge, or they act like they own the place? And it's like the deer act like they own the place still, so they're not on edge. Sometimes they're on edge, but most of the time they're laying there. I'm going right by them on my scooter. They're 10, 20 feet away, laying there. So that's not on edge. They know us. I know the deer know us. So and I have to keep that in mind. A lot of the deer there are familiar with us. Let's just say that. So they kind of know we're not a serious threat, especially my young, goofy dogs, but they're like a half threat. But the deer will stumble upon us if we're downwind, like they did like a week ago. They came up over a hill or to the top of it, and we were like right in the bottom of the hill. It was like 40-foot tall hill, and they were like, oops, they kind of went the other way, and the dogs were like, what the hell? Like, I don't even think the dogs smelled them. Nobody sensed each other, but I saw the whole interaction. It was really cool. I let it know that the dogs are pretty much in sync with what's happening in this whole system because I let them study all the time. So I just kind of wanted it to react to that. Like, what's it like? What are you going to say to my dog pack being around all these coyote kills, deer killed, dead deer, and fresh and coyote packs and all that stuff? What does it mean to the dogs or for the dogs? I said that my dogs pretty much are in sync with the coyotes because the dogs seem to study the coyote behavior as much as I do, if not more. It's cool because dogs don't get to live long, and they get a taste of what their lives should be more like while they are alive, in my opinion. I mean, that's how I feel. All dogs are wolves. They should be out in the woods, like a wild patch, no residential roads or anything around, and let them get to business in their own way, in their own dimension, in their own world. Just manage it. Guide them through. Make sure they don't hurt themselves, get sick, all that stuff. They sort of get smart out there over time since they know how to do a lot of stuff if they get practice at it and get shown. I even break bones up. If the bone is too big, I will smash it with a rock and give them healthy pieces that are not jagged. Stuff like that. Young puppies, I might smash the bones out if it's soft and make sure it's just safe. That's exactly what the mother wolf does with her teeth. When I'm home, if I have chicken wings, I chewed the chicken wing up after I eat the meat, the whole chicken wing, because it's the softest bone ever, and I'll spit it all out and give it to a puppy. Okay? Call me crazy, but that's how far I go with it all. That's how Mama Wolf does it. You're essentially giving your dogs a masterclass in their own ancient history. Exactly. That's exactly what Nature of the Pack is all about. We are all about giving our dogs a masterclass in their own ancient history because I'm so sick of the domesticated life. Oh my God. All these dogs that have problems, it's because they sit around in the heated box all day in the house with nothing to do. They have nothing to do, and they were built for stuff to do, just like you, human. We want to be busy all day running around doing stuff, building stuff, going crazy, shopping, running around, taking the kids to school, and then going on vacations and just going shithouse, right? Dogs want to do the same thing. So when you keep them home all day in this sedentary, lackadaisical, just boring lifestyle, they go crazy because they're not designed for that. Neither are we. So right away, awesomeness. When your dogs sniff that kill site and study the behavior of the pack, they are tapping into a sensory language that's thousands of years old. It's likely that they're reading a newspaper written in scent and tracks. For a domestic dog, getting to engage with the wild version of themselves, even from a distance, is probably the most mentally stimulating thing they can do all day long. That's what I'm talking about. All day long, over anything else. Even dogs that are obsessed with balls and toys, you bring them out into the woods, half the time will be spent doing real wolf stuff. Hunting, chewing, finding carcasses, scavenging. I know, because I've had obsessive ball dogs in the pack in the past, and that's what they've done. You can break them out of that mental obsession if you need to by putting them back in their home with a pack. So it goes on here to mention things about the deer, where they hang out like they own the place and why. The landscape of fear. In areas with established apex predators, deer usually become ghosts, hypervigilant and constantly moving. If your local deer is still relaxed enough to stumble upon you, the pirate pack might not be large enough yet to keep the entire herd on edge, or the deer population is so dense that they haven't yet felt the full pressure of the hunt. Isn't that interesting? Downwind stealth. If you're downwind, you've accidentally hacked the deer's primary defense system. Hell yeah. Even a tame suburban deer will bolt if they catch a whiff of a human or a dog. So stumbling upon them means you're just becoming as stealthy as the coyotes themselves. Ooh. I already know I'm stealthy. I already know how to be stealthy. I just don't practice it enough at all. The sync with your dogs. Your dogs being in sync with the wild pack is a sign of high intelligence. Smart dogs equal dogs that spend a lot of time out in the forest practicing being dogs, well away from roads and people and houses. Okay, wolves are generally shy. They don't want to be around that stuff, so they avoid it. Coyotes, on the other hand, totally different. That's where the behavior differences come in between the animals, even though they're pretty much the same species. That's nature for you. Specializing mentally and physically. They aren't just reacting with fear or aggression, they are observing. They probably recognize a specific individual voices and scent marks of the pack just as well you recognize your neighbors. That is so awesome. That's exactly what I want them to do. I want them to see exactly what's happening around them in the right place. That's why I bring them to the river, in the river's edge, where all the coyotes live and where there's a ton of animals, wildlife, fish or cats, everything you can imagine. Raccoons, little animals, flying squirrels. We got everything out there, especially at nighttime. And the more that they are around it, the smarter they become and the more in sync with real nature they are. And in a life that's like 10 to 15 years long, what else could you want for your dog other than that? It's, in my opinion, the best thing for the dog to be able to sit home all day with it and just have it grow old, bored, get fat and die is just, I can't do that, people. Sorry. Not my cup of tea. So that's all. I just wanted to cover that right now because I thought it was really cool. Let's see if what I started it off. I was originally asking it about wolves getting into our area because I do this as part of my job. I want to know where all the wild animals are in the local area since we're on like east of Boston. I want to know where all the closest populations are to all the bigger animals, anybody. Wolves, wild boars, black bears mainly, and moose. Those four mainly. So right now, the wolves, this is what I'm asking about. They're up in Quebec. It's like, well, they have a big obstacle of crossing the St. Lawrence River. And I'm like, well, I ask it, have they crossed the St. Lawrence River yet? And it says, yeah. I'm like, okay, well, then it's not really that big of an obstacle if they've already crossed it. Well, it says, well, a breeding population hasn't been established, but individuals crossing is different than a breeding population. And then all the physical barriers, shipping traffic, all the residential neighborhoods and roads. It says that they're kind of trapped up there, but they will still make it through and might establish a breeding population in south of Quebec. And I think they probably already have. If they have, no one's saying much about it because they don't want to deal with it yet. That's my opinion on it. So if they're in Quebec south of the St. Lawrence River, how long until they start making it down through Maine and New Hampshire, Vermont, and down into Massachusetts, if ever? That's all I want to know, if ever. So I like looking this stuff up once in a while because it helps me understand what might happen in the future. Like right now, the black bears, they're getting closer. They're getting closer and closer every year. And it says within about 5 years, they're going to be hitting the 128.95 belt line. And that's pretty much home. So we don't want that. So I'm looking that up to be ahead of the game here and be way more aware of it than most other people. If we ever see a bear out there, there's going to be problems. Or hopefully not, but you know what I mean? Pack of dogs and a black bear, it's like last thing I want because it could kill somebody. No thanks. Moose aren't so bad. They could be out there, but hopefully they won't really be threatening if we ever saw one. Bobcats, not too worried about big cats at all, but I still am cautious and I know they used to live here, the eastern cougar, so you gotta always be careful that the big cats might move back in or some cat that's bigger. Or the wild boars. The wild boars are 90 miles away up in New Hampshire. We got to deal with a 200-pound wild boar coming at us from New Hampshire. I mean, like the dusk, charging one of my little dogs. Who knows? So I pay attention to that too. I know where they are. And if I ever see one of them coming down here, they better not move their population down south or we'll have to start breaking out the bows and the arrows and all that stuff, All right, that's it for now. I just wanted to cover some wolf geek stuff today, okay? Dog, wolf, coyote, geek stuff. Yeah, the whole beginning of this was all about just simple wolves moving over the St. Lawrence River down into Quebec, down into New England, down into Massachusetts, right in my backyard. And then we moved to what I've been witnessing with the coyotes here in my local area, and just to let it kind of spiel some crap at me. And it was cool. I like what it has to say. I'm not going to fight that. That's great. That's, you learn a little bit. I already know what I'm looking at, but it helps me understand what I'm looking at more, It gives me a little bit more info, a little deeper into what I'm seeing. All right. So that's it for now, everybody. If you like this episode of Geeking Out with Alex, come back again, because I'm sure I'm going to be doing this more. I do this a lot. I just haven't made videos yet like this yet, and it's kind of geeky just to have words and me the whole time, but we're covering important stuff here. So if you like learning this stuff, you might enjoy it. All right. Peace out. See you in the next video.